Hey guys, Gaslight Magic here. We've got an extra spicy, picante, mucho grande article coming out of WOTC on September 11th. Now, last time we visited Eldraine on September 11th, they celebrated it by, and I am not joking, spoiling the card Trapped in the Tower, and then claimed it wasn't on purpose. That is a real thing that morons of the coast did. So what did they do this time? They released an article called State of Formats in MTG Arena. That's right, they're giving a State of the Union address for Arena on September 11th while Joe Biden refuses to go to the ceremony. And why not? So here's the fun part. I haven't read this. I scrolled through it and I'm like, that's a lot of text. And I thought, well, why make a summary video? I'm sure they're just going to gaslight people. But then I thought, no, maybe they're going to finally admit that Arena is dying. And then I saw what you are all seeing right now up on screen. In the words of Nickelback, look at this graph. Paraphrased. Welly, well, Orwellian well. Would you look at that? The standard format has been going down. Now, who's been saying that this whole time that that's been happening? Oh, let me just mention, there's a term for a graph without both axes labeled. In the scientific community, they call that bullshit. And I could guess what some of those dips are, honestly, but without any kind of time frame in months or releases or anything to tell what the overtime scale is. Yeah, let's just say I don't think it's 6 years. I think it's a little more recent. Hi, Editing Desk here. They do later say it's for a recent month. 1 month. That was not my guess. I would have said 6 months minimum, maybe 12. But, all right. So I wonder which recent month. I really do. So let's just speed read the article here, and I'll insert my editorializing as needed. As we approach Magic the Gathering Arena's 5th anniversary, even though it's the 6th anniversary, we want to look at the current state of Constructed and discuss how we approach our formats. Yeah, it's in shambles and everybody's pissed that you tacked on another year, but you did it to keep Arena people around and now they're all leaving. Oops. When we released MTG Arena, we had exactly one constructed format, Standard. 5 years on, we support 6 formats, effectively adding one new format per year. At least they admit it's been out for 6 years. I'm fairly sure it has. I'm not going to check because I don't care, but I'm pretty sure. So in that time, millions of Magic players have come to our game. That's an odd way to phrase it. Bad writing. Good job, Jay Parker, who wrote this. Some have been playing Magic for decades, and others are just learning the game. No, nobody's trying to learn it right now in the state it's in. And nobody new is joining Arena. It costs you $300 to build one competitive deck, and you cannot win with anything else. It's not, oh, you should net deck because of 54% win. No. You come up with something hyper-aggressive, perfectly put together with perfect math. You stand approximately a 0% chance of competing with the absolute tier 1 bullshit that's out right now, okay? That's unequivocal. I haven't seen it quite this bad except for at the tail end of Hour of Devastation with like Chain Whirler. Black Blue Scarab, Red Rush, or whatever the third deck was out back then. Mono Green, I think? I don't know. You played one of those or you lost, and they're like, well, okay, we could ban it, but like everybody just wait for rotation. And then everybody just quit the game and didn't come back, so you'd think they'd learn from that. They did not. So, oh god, here we go. Some players are eager for a churning meta where they need to steadily tweak and change their deck to keep up. Oh, god, they're even using the term keep up. How about creatively come up with new ideas because they enjoy deck building? Or did you drive all those people out of the game and now there's only net decking douchebags? I mean, that was extremely rhetorical. That is exactly what's happening, and they know it. So where they need to steadily tweak and change their deck to keep up, and others want stability, where they can pick a single deck and play it for years, also known as psychopaths. This is a deck building game, so put away mommy's credit card and stop paying to win with a deck that you didn't build, you absolute jackasses. They should take a survey and say, would you prefer to play Red Rush or Mono Blue Control for the next 3 years and not change it in any way, and anybody who says yes, ban them on the spot. Now that would improve Arena. Those people are not the kind you want in the community. So anyway, MTG Arena's variety of players makes it beautiful. Whoa! Does it? Do those two players get along? What the hell is wrong with you? You're insane. The fact that you wrote that sentence means you shouldn't even work there. Oh my god, I'm not even going to reread that with the second part. Screw it, we're moving on. So, our goal is to support as many play preferences as we can while maintaining healthy and diverse matchmaking pools. How about enjoyable decks to play against? How about that? Because if I don't enjoy playing the game, let's just say I have not opened Arena in a couple days, and right now in the background recording this is Fallout 4. Okay, so that's what I think of it, and I run a freaking MTG YouTube channel with 50k subs. If you can't drag me into Arena to play it because Standard is so toxic right now and is going to be for at least another year, then y'all need to rethink what you're doing, because I sure as shit ain't switching to Historic. After you admitted that Historic Brawl is completely rigged, and I abso-freaking-lutely am not playing the rigged, overpriced trash that is Alchemy, not to mention just the word rigged in there. Let me just outline that one more time. Everything on Arena is rigged. Everything. Every single portion of it. The events, the matchmaking, the card prediction, the way the AI drafts, everything is unbalanced, unfair, non-random, and rigged. It has been proven by statistical analysis and evidence. So it's got to be this kind of article, isn't it? So blah, 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 different people, healthy, diverse, whatever. This is what drives our format philosophy. There's an inherent tension there. Giving more players the mode they want will often mean creating new formats. Let me translate that from bullshitese to reality. We wanted more money, so we invented Alchemy, and it does weird crap that you can't track in paper because our card designers have all been there for 20 years and they're bored and they're out of ideas. So we invented Alchemy, where pretty much anything you'd ever want to play is a rare wild card or higher. Good luck, assholes. Get out the credit card. So that's what's going on back in reality. Now I'm going to switch back to the bullshitese that they're writing this in. Luckily, I speak English, Spanish, bullshitese, and, excuse me, stewardess, I speak jive. So, blah, 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 fragmenting the matchmaking pools. Yes, because you don't have enough players to sustain the game. I'm glad you let that leak between the lines there. Thanks for that. Leading to lower player counts in them, longer matchmaking times, and worse matches. Like more cross-rank pairing. Yeah, because you don't do that on purpose when I win too much. To solve this, we try to offer a balanced spread of formats to cover as many player motivations as possible. How about have a free queue to draw everybody in and make the game overall cheaper? How about that? Or rotate Standard right now and ban 30 cards. Or create a new format that's lower power than Standard instead of higher power. You morons. But instead, they already admitted this. Going into the next year, they're focusing on multiplayer. As in more than 2 players, like multiplayer for Magic, like 1 versus 1 is multiplayer. You know what's dragging it down? Without even a statement from the staff or any leaks or anything, I can tell you with near certainty, as a former developer, not of this game but in general, what is keeping them from developing multiplayer are phones. It already plays like shit on a phone and it's a complete nightmare. Now add additional steps and additional overhead, additional RAM, additional, actions, rendering, selecting, more crap on the screen that doesn't fit because it's 5 inches. Good luck. So then they put up a chart that makes absolutely no sense. I'm not even going to put it on screen because who cares? Everything they said is a lie. So if this is going to summarize what they just said, it's bullshit anyway. And then going literally but not figuratively off the charts is Brawl, and then he put in parentheses, Brawl doesn't quite fit on the axes. I'll talk more about it below. I guess that's why the chart doesn't make sense, because they kind of put it on the chart and connected it with a line. You know what, go look at it if you want to see it. It's just white boxes with black text and it makes no sense. So I'll just summarize. They go on and on and on about, well, we made this for this, and this is why Alchemy exists in Historic, and this is supposed to be for this players. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, which is close the game and play Fallout. So that's where you're at right now. But look at that graph. All that work, and they go on and talk about Alchemy and how, well, if you didn't know, they did rotate Alchemy. Alchemy has rotated out. It rotated when Standard was supposed to. Now, why is that? Because it's supposed to be the new digital version of Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering Standard. So in this graph, it's ranked and unranked. And look, Alchemy gained maybe 0.5%. It never spiked. It never went up. I guess when Brawl crashed, people played Alchemy. Even Explorer is going up. All that effort to build the new standard, and all they ended up with was people just quitting the game. Unreal, dude. Now, here's why I don't believe this graph. It's because of this sentence right here. This shows a healthy distribution that may look a bit different from what you experience during your own play when talking with friends or when reading online. All your friends, family, personal anecdotes, and any kind of statistics you gathered yourselves, they're all bullshit. Believe us and look at this unlabeled graph. That's usually what multi-level marketers say right before they try to sell you a supplement, when really you just need to get off your fat ass, go to the gym, and stop eating garbage, okay? Everybody in the world is lying except for me. All the doctors, all the scientists are lying. Listen to me. That's what I'm getting from this absolute gaslighting jackass, Jay Parker, who wrote this stupid article allegedly. And then they go full, do whatever you want, free for all, woo, who cares lefty, where they're like, just remember the important thing is that everyone is right about what they prefer, and our job on MTG Arena is to provide the best experience for as many players as we can. Oh, climb down off of your moral high horse and get in the mud with the rest of us and fix this shit, because you're losing customers left and right. So then they just break down the formats. This is going to be funny. Standard, that's what they start with. MTG Arena framing, tabletop analog. That rotates to keep 3 years of cards for gradual metagame shifts. So in other words, the NetDecker format, where you can just turn your brain off, use someone else's work, and play some abusive, unfun shit with zero regard to your opponent. Okay, that's standard now. I mean, that's my write-up of it. Let's see what he wrote. Standard is the most popular format on MTG Arena, not for long, accounting for the largest share of games played in the various queues, ranked play, and so on. So play is the unranked, by the way. The graph shown above is prior to rotation. There you go. So you can see Standard's share of play going down a bit, while Historic and other modes climb slightly. Despite this cyclical pattern, Standard is still the clear leader. Oh, so it's not just going down, it's cyclical, guys. Starting this year, we're extending the rotation window for Standard so that it includes 3 years of sets. So they're kind of doubling down, in case you haven't read the language here, that they're never going to go back from this. We think the changes will help give Standard a more interesting mix of archetypes, more vitality, and more stability. More on that in the Revitalizing Standard article. There's an article called, okay, I missed that. Is that out yet? Standard on MTG Arena stays at local parity with the tabletop Standard, matching all the rules, card pool, bans, and so on. This makes it a great format for players who value similarity, to tabletop, or players who are looking for a metagame that still shifts but more slowly. Then go play Modern or Brawl, you jackasses. Get out of my format. So you can play and see a similar mix of decks for a longer period of time. When the hell has anybody ever said they want to do that except when they're referring to their own deck? I don't want to see the same stupid, abusive, stupid control bullshit for the next 3 years. I don't. Nobody does. You're insane. Have you ever played Arena? I mean, PewDiePie trashed you guys when this shit came out, saying, oh good, Red Rush again. God, this game is so repetitive and bullshit. I hate going up against this deck. In front of 10 million people, he said that. Wow, embarrassing. Worse is when they sponsored Charlie, aka Moist Critical, aka Penguins Zero's, I almost said website, YouTube channel, and he made a couple videos on it where he was just like, oh, this again, oh, we lost to that again, ooh, the power level, ooh, should I build something else? Just like backhandedly being like, holy shit, this is worse than Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So his threshold for toxic decks is pretty high, but you could tell he was like, oh, put a fake smile on. Oh, we're going up against this deck again. Is that a glitch? Is there some reason? Can we do anything about that? I kind of don't want to play against this deck again. I don't think the viewers want to see me lose again. And they paid him all of the money. So much money for that sponsorship. I don't have a number, but I have a pretty good idea. It was insane. What an absolute embarrassment. So they end this absolute horseshit with, overall, it's a great format for our players. No, it's not. You ruined it. The power level's too high. Everybody hates it, and you won't do anything about toxic decks. Literally, decks running toxic. But you knowingly put it in the set. You clearly have no idea what the fans want and what you're doing. So you deserve to lose all the customers that you lost, and I look forward to buying your furniture at your bankruptcy auction, you absolute jackasses. So, explore who gives a shit. I'm going to skip that. Alchemy, here we go. This should be entertaining. It's probably the last one I'm reading because I don't give a shit about Historic either. So, MTG Arena Framing, I think these were like, this is like when you read the pause for applause part on the teleprompter. I don't think you're supposed to put MTG Arena Framing, into it. I think that was in your notes and you forgot to delete it. And then their subheader is digital format that rotates to keep 2 years of cards for a faster moving metagame. Okay, Working with the Magic design team on format management of the early days of MTG Arena, it was very clear that many MTG players and tabletop players were looking for different things in a rotating format. Yeah, net deckers and people actually want to have fun. You catered to the wrong group, and now all the other ones left, so good job. There was actually only one group of people who all unanimously said what they think about how much Arena costs, so you came out with this format that costs more money to play. Good read. I wonder why it's stuck at 11%. From the tabletop players, we kept hearing a desire for more stability, while the digital players wanted things to move and change more quickly. In other words, the Hearthstone kids. This was a key driver behind the creation of Alchemy. No, it was money, shut up you liars. To create a format that moved at a digital pace and used digital tools to keep things fair, fluid, and fun. So the whole basis for Alchemy, in case you missed that train, was they could change the card's text. Like, they could change it from like a 1-3 to a 1-2 or something if they felt the need. Or they could change an ability or remove an ability, or they would suspend a card briefly. So it was supposed to be not like ban announcemented, but rebalanced more often. I was all for it until I saw it and saw what it costs, and I think they injected a bunch of anthologies in it, didn't they? And they're all rares. Just idiotic. They just could not keep their hand out of the cookie jar. So the next section just says, nom nom nom, more money, nom 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 nom. Oh, wait, no, I misread that. It actually says, Alchemy also gives us an opportunity for MTG Arena engineers to work alongside the Magic designers so we can identify card behaviors that are new but are straightforward for us to implement for Magic Arena. Let me translate that. We copied Hearthstone. And since these cards are only for MTG Arena, we can work with those Magic designers to tweak the language on the cards, which makes adding new cards to Alchemy easier than most any other format, and much easier than backlist sets, whatever that means, where we must match cards that are already printed and immutable. That's funny because you keep changing the text on cards, because you had an infinite loop with itself on that exiler. That stupid pirate, he could just exile himself in a loop infinitely. So you changed the words on it. Or I should say you pretended to change the words on it, because you can't change the cards. I have a theory that you made Alchemy just because you're careless idiots and you wanted to correct all your typos. We've been happy with how Alchemy has played out so far. Really, you're happy with 11% and everybody on Twitch especially, and really all streamers abandoning it. Really. I wouldn't be happy with 11% on our star format that we just invented. Do you think that's why they made Standard so toxic by making it a 3-year rotation? To drive people into Alchemy because it costs more? And they think they'll enjoy it more? 'Cause they won't. All the Alchemy-specific mechanics are universally horrible. They are so annoying. So anyway, the metagame has stayed open and diverse, wrong, with a good amount of change even week to week. Yeah, when you have 11%, it's like 10 people, so yeah. We feel like this is creating an interesting and engaging format, wrong, and the play rate trends back this up. Probably also wrong, with both new and veteran players shifting to the format. Absolutely 100% false by your own stupid graph, you dumbasses. With the release of Wilds of Eldraine, Alchemy gained another difference from Standard this year, as Standard shifts to a 3-year rotation, and Alchemy remains 2 years. More on that in the article. Should be : double quote, updates to Standard and Alchemy on MTG Arena. Does that mean the article is on MTG Arena? It's on the crawl? Is that where I have to find the link? Or that's part of the title? Holy shit, get an editor. They probably quit, whatever. I'm not convinced they've ever had an editor for anything, or even a proofreader. I'm not convinced they speak English. Look at the card Chains of Mephistopheles and tell me that a human being with a working brain designed that card. So the difference will help diversify each format's audience and help Alchemy continue delivering a quickly moving, way too expensive, diverse, and balanced metagame built to appeal to both newer players and digital focus. That's the same people, or high play rate veterans. Oh, you just didn't put a comma. My God, this is a train wreck. While Standard continues to match tabletop authenticity. Do they know that nobody's playing it anymore at F&M and paper either? So why would you want to match that? This whole thing falls apart under the slightest amount of scrutiny. So they mention historic Brawl, and Brawl I could not possibly give less of a shit. So let's read the finale that says future. Yes, we're all imagining the SpongeBob clip, and Anyway, when we launched MTG Arena in open beta 5 years ago, we had one format in our queues, standard. Now we have 5. I'm pretty sure that was copied and pasted from earlier in the article. My God. Clearly, expansion has been the historical pattern. I read that exactly how they wrote it, but it isn't likely to continue at that rate. We think we've got a spread of formats that provide a good balance that covers player motivations and preserves healthy queues. Wrong. While we have seen... Dude, nothing is more demotivating than seeing Lily turn 3 and Phyrexian turn 4, or literally just an island drop on turn 1. Okay? Because you know Hadi Jin's coming out with his hexproof friends. And his friends brought some draw spells that go during your end step and nothing but counter spells. While we've seen player interest in Modern, which is false because they would just go play MTGO, which is actually cheaper at this point, on MTG Arena, especially after our recent announcement at Gen Con regarding Modern Horizons 3, this isn't something we currently have in our plans. It would cost too much money and they don't have the customers to justify it. Oops. There's simply too large of a content gap there for us to close anytime soon. Yeah, it actually would take like ages to program in every single mechanic in all of Modern. They're not wrong, but still. That doesn't mean no changes, though. For example, both Standard and Alchemy will be seeing their roles shift a bit, as we start to feel the impact of the new rotation schedules. I thought for sure they were going to say the election. and we may see things there that make us want to adjust. Is it the graph going straight down of the active players? Is that what you're seeing there? I bet that's what you're seeing there. I have a feeling that's what you're seeing there. So we are also starting to accumulate several cards, me too, that are too powerful or disruptive for historic. Then stop printing them, you dinguses, which is something we are thinking about. That sentence was written by a 4th grader. It's something we are thinking about. That's an object of consideration that's higher on our priority list. You're welcome. You can have that one for free. We are also talking actively about what else we can do to help excite and support Brawl players. Brawl players are already pretty excited. They're just happy to be here. Right up until they all left after you admitted openly on the forum that the matchmaking is rigged and based on your commander no matter what the contents of the deck are. I quit that day and have not touched it since, in case you're wondering. But that is a $1,000 black hole of non-tradable sunk cost bullshit if you're just jumping into Arena. So I wouldn't promote Brawl too much, okay? It's all just like rare wild cards. Literally nobody who hasn't been playing for free since the beginning can afford to play that. So blah, blah, blah. Brawl players are a bigger segment of the population. Cool. So yeah, they're escaping your other formats. I thought you guys just said you were happy that Alchemy was going up, even though factually on your own graph it's not going up. Not within the margin of error. So MTG Arena's format offerings will continue to adapt and possibly grow as players continue to shift how they're playing. Our goals will remain the same: provide healthy, active matchmaking to the widest range of players we can, and to buy an even bigger thesaurus for the next time we write this article. Wow! What a bunch of empty, vapid bullshit that said absolutely nothing. Holy shit. This should have been called Our Excuse for Why Standard is Dying, but we're totally cool with it, don't worry. Here's an unlabeled graph, have fun. A cherry-picked graph from, quote, a recent month. Wow. So anyway, Unity decided to kick them while they're down, and they're implementing a per-install fee for everyone using their engine. I didn't read the entire article, but the chart I'm looking at says it's going to be upwards of 20 cents per install for any game that runs Unity. Now, do you have a Unity Personal and Unity Plus account? Do you have a Unity Pro account or Unity Enterprise? I'd like to think it's Enterprise, you know what I mean? But Enterprise might be like Blizzard. I mean, they might be running Unity Pro. They literally own one Unity game at WOTC. So at $1 million plus, they'll be paying $0.02, also known as 2 cents per install. You might think that might not add up, but it says 15 cents per install for Unity Pro for 1 to 100,000. And you might say, well, it doesn't start counting at 1. Well, okay, so that's the number over the quote-unquote threshold, and then the install threshold for Unity Pro is 1 million, and then it says life to date. So is that across multiple games or the life of the game? They're going to hit 1 million real quick. They probably already did. I don't think it's retroactive, but like let's just say they're going to hit 1 million installs of Arena pretty darn quick, and then after that, they're going to start paying the overage rate. So the first 1 to 100,000 pass set are going to cost 15 cents allegedly. Do they refund it when you go to the next tier? No, I honestly, looking at this chart, don't think it works like the US tax code. Which is where you don't say, oh, the next tax bracket is at 58,000. I better like do this to skate just under it, because then my entire amount that I make, if I go to 58,001 or whatever, will be taxed at a higher rate. No, that's not how that works. Your income is taxed at the bracket that it was in until you go over it, and then it's taxed at the new amount. I think this is the opposite. I really do. And I could just read the whole article, but it is ridiculously enormous and everybody's pissed. So this is going to kill a lot of big old suffering games that have free-to-play markets. I mean, Hearthstone and Arena, let's just call it what it is. Aren't you glad you went with Unity? It wasn't as much of a trap as like Adobe free school software and like the entire scam that was Google SketchUp, where they rope you in, call it free, then they start charging for it right after everybody goes to college and learns it, and then Go gets a job and says, I don't know AutoCAD, I only know SketchUp. You guys gotta buy SketchUp. And we're like, bitch, go back to college and learn something the industry actually uses, because now they're charging you a couple $100 an install, so screw you. We already pay for AutoCAD licenses. It's almost like I have firsthand knowledge of that. If it's free now, it probably isn't free in the future. Welcome to Silicon Valley. It's a trap. So let's say Arena has to start paying 15 cents an install on people who may never spend money on the game, which is extremely unlikely. Man, are they screwed. And remember, how many times have I uninstalled and reinstalled Arena? Are they tracking that? But wait, Unity has a solution for you. Developers of free-to-play games, which have a much higher install rate than premium titles, will have an option to offset this fee by adopting other Unity services such as level play advertising mediation service. In other words, put ads in the game. Make 15 cents off everybody. Wow, I'm sure they won't like directly put in ads for their competition. I'm sure I'll never see a Hearthstone ad in Arena. I bet you WOTC would actually do this. I mean, per user that sticks around more than a month, they're probably making 10 to 20 to 30 to 50 bucks a month, would be my guess. Except for us perpetual free players. And we're going to keep installing every time we get a new phone. I don't know if that runs in Unity for sure. I don't know if phones even run Unity, but on the PC, every time I get a new PC, I'm reinstalling it. Do they just, is it on the honor system? How do they track these installs? Is there like a unique thing? I mean, like, this is a terrible idea, but it's also terrible for WOTC, so I don't even know how I feel about it. I think it's greedy, it's stupid, it's bullshit. But because it's happening to WOTC, I find it a little bit funny. And I bet you they're going to go back on this when they see everybody pull out. But they are so established in the industry as the one you go to if you are making a game, unless you want to write your own engine. And even Bethesda can't get off their trash creation engine. Allegedly, the sequel to Skyrim is finally going to use a new engine. I'll believe it when I see it. And I think they actually just switched to Unity, which is hilarious. By the way, Level Play itself is a free service, but Unity gets a cut of whatever is spent on ad mediation. So you can offset the amount that they're charging you by putting in ads, and then they take a cut from the ads, and that doesn't apply to the amount you owe them. Oh, there's also on the chart, there's an install threshold and a revenue threshold, and it says thresholds to be met? I don't know. So revenue threshold is $1 million. Yeah, they make that in a week probably on Arena. Install threshold, $1 million? That's what I'm wondering. But as soon as they hit that, they're going to be paying per install. And if people really hate WOTC, they're going to write a bot that like opens a VM and then wipes it and reboots and then installs Arena. I'm not sure if that's worth the power bill, because installing Arena on like virtually a supercomputer takes like 40 minutes. But if you got a RAM disk and some fiber, woohoo! I don't actually think somebody would do that, but this is such a vector to attack, like to attack your competition if you don't like them. Like 2 pennies at a time, but yeah, this is really fucked. Oh, the only way this could get better is if it somehow affects Apple. It probably does. So hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe for more epic news the way that only I can report on it. After living through this living hell that is MTG for about 11 years, I'll see you guys next video.